Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 5 here in the Frosty Space Hut. I don't know about you, but here where I'm at, it's snowing once again. I thought it's time to spend some time in the Frozen Wasteland series with our duplicants. In the last episode, we got our oxygen supply to be sustainable, and today we're going to do the same for our food supply. Currently, we're living off of pike apple bushes and sleet wheat that's growing around the land, and we're going to switch over to a system based on our critters that is more sustainable and can last for a much longer time through the rest of our playthrough. One of the great things about starting out on series is that you have really good access to things like food and oxygen. And so, unlike some asteroid starts, it's not a mad scramble. And I really like that. For a couple of reasons. One, this playthrough is kind of in preparation for my next playthrough that I'm planning, where I'm going to play all the DLCs together, and we're going to try to finish everything in the game in one playthrough. That playthrough is going to last for thousands of cycles. It's also a way for me to celebrate hitting the point where I've played 10,000 hours, not included. So my goal is to reach every achievement that I can, use every system I can, and kind of show everything in the game all at once. Series is a good way to get started with that, because I can just play for cycles for a long time in series because I have so many natural food sources. The cold keeps the heat down. There is systems that recycle my carbon dioxide into oxygen. And now that we have sustainable oxygen, we can go much longer. So I've taken, I think, 30 cycles just working down here, getting this prepared for the next step. So what we're doing now is we're going to remove this retaining wall that we built here, and that's going to let this salt water flow down. We dug down here and we got everything out. We still have some debris down here that we'll have to clean up at some point. But for now, we're just going to let it go down. We're going to remove this gas pump that we had cleaning the carbon dioxide out of down in this system. And we're just going to let the salt water flow down here. We'll end up moving this pump down here as well so that we can have the salt water getting pumped from down here. But the whole goal of this is to handle the temperature of this system. The salt water is producing salt water at 95 degrees, but our tech is only at the point where we can make pumps where we can get up to 75 degrees before they overheat. Which means that if we were to just close this off and put a pump in there, it's going to overheat almost immediately because this is 95 degrees. So we let it collect in a pool. We make the pool even bigger. Also, this system is producing 8.6 kilograms per second of salt water, which means the average output is 3.3 kilograms per second. Our system can't handle that. Our desalinator could take it all in and turn it into water, but our electrolyzer is currently only using 1 kilogram per second of water. So this system is going to produce more salt water than we can process, which is fine, but we don't want to overflow the whole system. We want this to continue to produce for the future. So having this large tank that allows it to cool down naturally gives us some time before we need to come in here. So we can go off and work on more systems that are more higher priority, and then we can, by the time we come back, we'll have enough tech that we'll be able to use higher temperature metals to handle everything in here and set up a system that goes all the way to the end. So for now, we're going to let this go down. We'll get the pump here running, and we'll keep this pumping oxygen and hydrogen out to our base, and we're going to go focus on some other things. Namely, we want to start with exploring the base a little better. So we have the ice biomes, we have the biomes with the Bammoth here and the plume squash, and then we have actually I think that's all. It's all that we're going to go out to. We have those two different biomes, but they spread over a massive area. So we're going to dig into all of those, pull everything out, and we're going to be careful to keep all of, as much as we can, of our natural food supply running so that we can still live off of that while we're doing that. And that'll give us more of a bigger picture for where everything is, so we know where we can set up our critter ranches. We're another 60 cycles in, and I've been meticulously going through and just digging out all of the biomes. in this area. So we've been very careful to try to leave as much wild growth as we can, and it's gotten us tons of food. In fact, it's enough food to the point where our food stocks are completely filled, and we're going to need to worry about being able to store them more efficiently in the future. We came up with in the end that there's a couple of areas that are pretty clear for us to build. This whole area up here is really clear, and then down here it's mostly just a clear area. There's lots of ladders in there right now from where I dug through, but there's not a lot going on. So as far as where I want to put my critters, I want to put them up in this section. The reason for that is that the critters need cold. The plants that support the Flox are the pike apples, which need to be in -55 to -14 degree temperatures. And the plume squash for our Bammoth is the same. So we need to keep an area cold, and this area down here is much hotter on the map. Also down here at the bottom of the map, there is plenty of heat in the core. So this area is going to heat up before the top, because we're probably going to split the map into two and have a cold area and a hot area. So this is the spot where I want to build it. And we could have definitely done this in a much more efficient way, where I could have built some stables while we were digging out, but that's not really what I'm going for with this playthrough. I just wanted to make sure we had some critters left. Some of the critters that were around as we destroyed their habitat got turned into meat prematurely, and it's fine. We have enough that we can get some starters going for our ranches, and that's all that we need. So I'm going to take an area up here. We're just going to split this area in two. So we're going to start right here and go up through, and then we're going to start building out our stables. So as far as what we want to do, we're going to go and we're going to have a little bit of space here above, and we're going to separate each of these to 4 tile high rooms. And then we're going to start building some pretty standard stables. So we're going to do a stable that starts like this, and it goes across. Let's see how much space we need. We need 100 tiles going this way. So we're going to dig into there. I'm going to cut into this biome a little bit. We'll have to handle the mercury in there as well. That's to watch out for. Let's go like this and like this. And then we're going to repeat that. We're going to do it for... We're going to do 4 ranches on both sides of this system. So we're just going to go like that. We're going to go across like this. That'll give us an idea of what we need to build out and dig out from the biome here. And on this side, we should have plenty of room for it. So let's go this way and like this. Let's measure out how far we need to go here. So if we were doing the same thing where we want 100 blocks this way, we need to go 1 more row than what we have. And then we go up and backwards. And then we'll do the same thing going upwards. We're just going to build like this. Come down. Do the same thing for each of these ranches. And we're going to end up doing 4 ranches for each critter type that we're working on right now. So we have our Bammoths we're going to put on the right, and our Flox we're going to put on the left. Next step is to put in some doors, so that we can get some doors in here to keep critters contained. And before we get too far, let's take a pause. What we want to put inside each room is we're going to need a critter drop-off for each stable. That one's too high. And then each stable also will need a grooming station, so that we can tame our critters and keep them groomed so that they can stay happy and producing eggs for us. And then normally we would put in food drop-offs, but for these particular critters, we're going to switch it up. We're going to put in some shearing stations, which are here. Because for the Bammoths, if we shear them, we get reed fiber, and for the Flox, if we shear them, we get wood. And then we're going to handle food with some farm tiles. So for the Flox, we need a total of 5 farms for each of our stables. So we're going to just put in farm tiles, 5 across each one, And that's where we're going to be putting our pike apples. And then we'll put in a door at the end of it so we can keep our flocks towards the front of our stable. We'll put a tile in here. And that will give us oops, that's not the right one. Side. We just need one tile here. This extra tile at the corner will make it so that the rooms are exactly 96 tiles, and we can fit 8 blocks in each of those rooms. On this side, it's a little different because our Bammoths need a little bit more food. We're going to use hydroponics because their food is going to be fed ethanol. And we're going to put them all the way across for each one. We're going to leave them able to roam across the entire area. We'll need a little extra automation for that. And then to make the room the correct size, we need to get rid of 4 blocks. So we're going to do 2 on each side. And that'll make a room that's 96 as well. Bammoths require a little bit more space, so we'll be able to fit 4 in each one. So we'll end up with 16 Bammoths and 32 flocks, which will produce tons of resources for us. So for now, we just need our duplicates to finish building all of this out so that we can be ready to go for the next step, which is getting this system to be automated in producing food for us and other resources. Another 14 cycles, and we are set up with our basics for our ranches. So we have our flocks being delivered over here. We have shearing station in here so that they can be sheared to collect their wood. And we have pike apple bushes in here to feed them. And on the other side, we have our bammoths. And our bammoths are living off the plume squash plants. We still need a few more of those seeds. In fact, I'm going to set this up so that we can actually harvest these plants that are ready, so that we can, our farmers will actually get some more seeds, because we get the seeds from when the farmers are actually doing the harvest. So if we don't have them harvest, it'll take a long time for us to get enough seeds to fill this out, and then we'll switch it back to disable harvest like we do on this side, because we don't want our duplicates harvesting them for food. We want them growing so that our flocks can have the growth to eat. That is the whole point. So once we do that, we'll start getting these the population handled here. So we need to set up some automation so that we can get these eggs out of here. And we're going to do that with some auto sweepers, where we're going to set it up in here. On this side, we're going to probably have to make some adjustments there, because this tile is going to be in our way. So we'll put another tile on this side, put a sweeper there, and we'll put some conveyor loaders, and we're going to bring that up here to build a nursery up here at the top. That way all the eggs are removed as soon as they are laid, because right now, if you look at our bammoths, they are... Oh, actually, these are okay because there's only 3 of them in here, so that egg only makes them 4. But if we were at the point where the bammoths were already getting to the point where one more critter in the room would make them cramped, it's going to make them so that the egg in there is going to make it so that they won't lay any eggs. So when the stable's done and the eggs are in here, it keeps them from reproducing. Really only affects them once they're tamed as well. So we want to make sure the eggs get removed out quickly. That way they continue to produce as many eggs as possible. And then the eggs will be brought up here into our nursery, where we'll handle them and keep things flowing there. So it'll allow us to keep the population in all 8 of these ranches full. We'll get lots of reed fiber from our bammoths. We'll get lots of wood from our flocks, and all the other resources that we need. And so just so you can understand where I'm coming with this, our bammoths are going to produce bammoth patties. Bammoth patties are going to create phosphorite. The phosphorite is going to be used for farming our pike apple. The flocks will eat the pike apple. They're going to produce dirt, but they're mostly what we're going for is to get wood. The wood will be used to produce ethanol. The ethanol, it gets fed back up in here into our plume squash, which creates growth, which our bammoths eat, and the cycle continues. So these are 2 symbiotic creatures that produce the things that we need to keep the other ones sustained. So as long as we have duplicates doing a little bit of work, doing the grooming, doing the shearing, and processing the goods into what we need, we can keep this sustainable with minimal duplicate effort for a very, very long time and get lots and lots of resources out of this system. We've reached the point where we're about halfway through getting our population growth where we want it. So the automation set up to move the eggs and everything else out of here, and it is shipped up to this room here. This is like our processing room and our hatchery. So eggs and everything get dropped off here. I then have some conveyor loaders here that move other things out. So those have rails that go to this area, and it brings everything down to next to our rock crusher. This is where the bammoth patties are turned into phosphorite, and we're working on delivery for that next. The other things that are left here, like eggshells and meat, are all sent out there too, and eventually we'll set up processing to get them shipped off to where they need to go as well. The whole goal is to keep eggs out of the stables so that they're up here, they can be delivered to the incubators. The automation is going to make it so that our ranchers will come and they will lullaby the eggs using minimal power to do it. As excess eggs will hatch in here, and that will allow us to just process them into meat. I was working on some automation here. I was thinking of trying to make it so that this doesn't process critters into meat until we have a bunch of them in this room. That way we can shear them. But I think I'm going to remove this and take it out. It's just not worth the extra effort to get that for the automation we have. That's going to mean having lots of critters around all the time, and I don't really need that. I just need enough to keep things sustainable in here, and then a little bit of excess to start building up, because we're going to be playing in our slow play style where things are going to build up over time. So that's our goal. So I'm going to shift this around and get that done. In this area, I'm working on adding some automation so that the phosphorite that's going to get delivered through these conveyor chutes is in reach of this auto sweeper, which will keep these farm tiles stocked without our duplicates having to do that. The goal is to make it so that all they have to do are the things that we can't avoid them doing, like grooming critters and lullabying eggs. Everything else that I can get automated, I want to automate it to make this work as seamlessly as possible. The goal is to make it so that there's just a couple of ranchers that will handle this area and will keep our population going forever. So we do need to get some more refined metal in order to build our automation things, and so we're still working on that. We'll get this set up so that we have phosphorite delivered. Originally I had a little bit of a brain fart, and I was thinking that I needed ice for the pike apples, but ice goes for the alveo veras. So I have a bunch of ice here. I need to get this cleaned back out, and we'll switch it over to phosphorite. But we'll continue to let this go after we get that set up and get all of these stables full and processing so that we can have large amounts of resources coming from here with minimal effort. All right, our population growth is getting pretty good here. We have almost all of our stables full. We still need one more in here and 4 more to fill up this stable for our Bammoths. Our Floxes are at 4 out of 8 in their final stable. Everything in here is running well. Phosphorite's being delivered to our pike apples automatically, ethanol to our plume squash automatically, and we're shearing all of our critters as quickly as we can. Up here, I currently have this evolution chamber turned off, so that if anything hatches, we can use it to fill up stables manually, but this will automatically do that in the future. The shearing station is probably going to be useless because with the way I have it set up now, when things hatch out of the incubators and they have nowhere to go, they'll land on the ground, but they will quickly make their way into here. But we'll leave it in there just in case we have any that get to the point where we can actually shear them. It's certainly not going to hurt. But our shearing stations in these areas are going to provide us with plenty of resources. We have lots of wood coming in. We have lots of reed fiber, which is important because our next step in the next episode is to build a proper base for our duplicates. We have plenty of heat down here in this room, and we also have oxygen that's already coming out at 60 degrees. It's actually probably coming out, it's coming out exactly at 70, but it's cooling down to 61 before it gets sent out. And if you notice, it's dropping very quickly into the sub-zero temperatures because it's going through this cold environment. Normally you have to take your oxygen and redirect it through a cold biome so that it doesn't overheat your base. And in this case, the entire map is the cold biome. But now that we have that heat and we have atmo suits, we can build ourselves a little base for our duplicates that has atmo suits connected so that they can go out and they can handle any environment we want them to go into. It's just good because while we were working on our population growth, we've done some changes here because the snow that we had built our igloos out of was starting to cause issues, and so I replaced it with airflow tiles, which could have just been regular tiles, but I just wanted the air to flow around naturally. You can see some of the polluted water or polluted ice has been sitting around and melting just because we're getting just enough temperature to start causing issues. I did some storage stuff to get everything stored away and started cleaning some things up just because I wanted things mostly out of the stable area and things like that. We're processing everything as best as we can. Food is automatically getting sent up. Phosphorite's getting sent to our base. Something is sitting in there. Oh, because we didn't finish this rail. This rail is to deliver any food items that get sent down here straight up to our cook. It actually drops right here and it lands in the bottom of our food storage so it stays in carbon dioxide and doesn't go bad. As soon as that rail gets replaced, we will have that working. But all of these things we're going to move into an environment where we can keep the temperature regulated, keep it nice and comfortable for our duplicates, and we can start sending them out in Atmos suits so they can handle more problematic areas that we have, like these radiation biomes and space, and eventually down into the hotter biomes down here. We want to get in and start tackling things like this pip forest biome so that we can start using them to set up some wild planted farms, and just lots of other things that we can do. But the next step towards that is a proper base for our duplicates and Atmos suits. So this reed fiber is going to make that happen. Our Bammoths are going to continue to get sheared, supplying us with plenty of reed fiber, both to build our suits and to keep them repaired. And once this system is filled, it's also going to provide us with food, it's going to provide us with wood, it's going to provide us with dirt. So this system, while it took us quite a bit of time to set up, is well worth the effort, because we will have so many access to new renewable resources from it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.